Today, we're going to be going over Maggrat, the newest big hitting archer in the game that clearly looks like she's going to be a must-have hero if you're planning to be an archer main. So, let's get to Maggrat, her skills, her talents, her pairings, and even some cool artifact combinations that you could be doing with her. Hello everyone and welcome to today's video on Maggrat, and if you've not checked out my T4 testing video that I bumped out the day before, go check that video out because it's a pretty eye-opener for the T4 player, especially for the guys in the low spend role looking at Maggrat, right? Because in here we're going to be discussing some pairings, obviously her skills, her talent pages, and obviously artifacts and pets, right? In the initial launch. So this is basically her release. This is what I'm going to recommend and what I'm going to be using myself. And then on top of all of that, we're going to probably do another Maggrat guide at the end of the season. Once we've got way more battle experience, once we've got, more actual, war to go through. So with all of that, let's just go through from my tests what we've found out, right? So quickly, let's just go over her 3 skills. She has a very simple skill. It's a life stealing ability where once you've done 5 normal triggers of variable healing, she's going to deal some damage, right? If you want to know what variable healing is, it's just a very simple way of saying, a posh way of saying, shall I say, of lifesteal, right? So if you've got lifesteal on this kit, whenever she deals normal attack damage, she's going to deal, she's going to heal a little bit of that damage back. And once she's healed 5 times, and this can only be triggered, as you can see, variable healing anyway, can only be triggered once every second. This is going to allow you to obviously deal 450% more damage on the 5th heal, which is really, really nice, right? With this, you have some really cool stats. You're going to get a bunch of attack whenever you get healed or through variable healing, which is obviously your kit. And then on top of all of that, you get a beautiful 20% HP and 15% normal attack damage bonus. So this is why you can see through just 3 skills, you have everything you need because it's all passive based too, and you can whack this on anyone generally and you're going to be having a good time. So let's go into the pairings, because obviously the pairings is the thing that most people are probably more curious on, right? Because I've done my tests myself as a T4 player and I'm going to give you my input from those, right? So for my own personal test, I haven't been able to check out Zeta, but from Meowers and from Guns and from other streams themselves, we've been able to check out their reports. And obviously Maggrat and Zeta looks like the #1 performing match pairing. You can easily put those 2 together and they are scarily outperforming Syndron and Freyga. So that's a very scary thing to put in perspective. However, not everyone has every single hero, and not every single person has every hero awakened, right? Even myself, you can see I've got 5355 Syndron and my Freyga's 5533. Even my Kanara's really low and I need to work on her myself, which is going to be my kind of next task once I've worked on this Maggrat and Zeta. But the pairings for Maggrat is, when you're looking outside of things, it's pretty easy to understand from what I've noticed. If you put Maggrat with the primary and then Syndron behind her, she is going to deal the most amount of damage out of any of the pairings that isn't including Zeta. So that's basically with Kanara or with your Freyga. I'm not mentioning Hosk for the simple purpose, this is for low spenders and more of, the guys that might unlock her without the ability to have Hosk, right? We'll talk about Hosk later. But when it comes to all of these guys, Maggrat and the Syndron seems to be performing the best from my test and from the reports of my heroes, right, so far. When we look at Maggrat and Kanara, I really like this match too, and I wish my Kanara was better for it, because you're going to have a really, really tanky match, and that's kind of the whole purpose of it, to have a super tanky match that just deals a ton of damage while just not taking that much itself, right? Really, really classified. But when it comes to Maggrat and Freyga, yes, you do get the crit rate higher. And I will admit, you get the crit rate bonus really high with this match. But the crit rate doesn't really help it too much. Just the raw damage that you have from Syndron's extra rapid fire actually helps way more than hitting a critical heal, for example. So that's one thing that I will recommend. So if you're looking for pairings, it's definitely going to be Maggrat Zeta, then Maggrat Syndron, and Maggrat Kanara. Now let's talk about Maggrat and Hosk, right? Because Hosk is a very clutch one in this, because he gives you an insane amount of stats, and especially if you put him in the primary or the secondary, you're going to get, you know, the best of both worlds. You're going to make her either more offensive if you put Maggrat primary, or if you hide your Maggrat in the deputy slot, you're going to just make her super tanky with that defense bonus, right? It's really nice to have that with even just a raw Legion capacity. And if you are a whale with the Awakening, you can imagine this is nice just to have that little bit of crit rate. It's nothing too crazy, but having 30% is better than having no percent, and you would be surprised that it does actually trigger more often than you think. So I will give it a shout out, but I'm not that whale. I'm not going to be saying this is the best one, but for the sole purpose, I don't have that experience on it. But when we're looking at these heroes, I can definitely give you the perspective that I've noticed, right? When it comes to artifacts and pets, it's pretty simple. Your artifact choice in this hero is going to be your Gilded Bow, which is obviously the new crossbow that's just come out. This is insane for this hero when you can see obviously the way it works. Plus the fact that you bypass enemy HP, making those normal attacks hit even harder. What's more free-to-play friendly, and obviously not obviously the newer artifacts, if you're going to be rocking her, I honestly do think Rattlespear is going to be really nice with this hero, because you're going to get a bunch of attack that you really care about, and depending on what pairings you're going to have, even if you don't have the Gilded Crossbow, even with like Maggrat Zeta, a defense break is so powerful, right? Having that innate additional effect to defense break through them is so powerful, right, on them. So I really do like this, depending on what pairings you're going to have with your Maggrat. If you're going to go through like maybe a Kanara with that, you know, Awakening state with her talent build, or maybe even with a Nico if you're running Nico. But I never did do any Nico tests, I will be a bit honest with you guys. Another one though I really do like with this hero is actually Viola's Bow. Viola's Bow, I think, is going to be a really hot artifact in the future, and I think she's going to start coming into her own, because she does deal, when you upgrade this artifact, 3600 damage to 5 targets, which is a nice area of effect. But the power of this is the fact that you're getting in the 10-second seal on their enemy's artifacts, so you're stopping all of those freezing rings, all of those spiritborn talks, all of the Gilded Crossbows, all of the, you know, Mirage Orbs that are out there. You're stopping all these insanely powerful artifacts, and on top of this, look how much HP you're getting. And I'm about to max this out at level 60, so you can see this is an insane amount of HP, which obviously Maggrat really likes, right? The fact that she has a nice little bit of HP built into her kit, which is 20%, and now you're gaining that massive bonus on top. Really good artifact for her, right? Her pet is going to be a weird one if you go in for the more crit rate, as you can imagine with like your Zeta or your Fragars, and even maybe your Syndron. You're going to be probably rocking the Night Rock. If you're going specifically for a defense break build, you can imagine you're going to go for the Snow Peak Rock. But then what I am going to recommend are the 2 Lizards. If you don't have one of those and you really want to play it very flexible, and I mean that, if you don't want to, you know, if you want to be very safe, Venomous Lizard. If you get targeted, guys, and you will get targeted as an archer, you're still going to deal some damage back. And that's better than nothing if you're worried if you don't have a good Snow Peak or if you don't have a good Night Rock. And another one that a lot of players have been asking about, even the Sand Lizard, if you just want to heal yourself and you want to heal a little bit more, I don't see why not as a free-to-play player. Because obviously as a free-to-play player, you do not have the same money, you don't have the same tools, you don't have the same, you know, just everything as a whale has in this game, right? So that's kind of the one aspect that I think is very important to put into the players' perspectives when they're making guides and obviously recommending stuff. So let's go into now her actual talent pages. We've got 2 talent pages, one which is very exciting in my books, and then another one which I think is going to be more beneficial for you, but I'm going to be testing both of these bad boys out over the wars that's going to come out in this season. So this is the very first talent page, and I'm actually more excited about this talent page because it's the first time I honestly believe we're going to get a hero that's actually going to be able like Zeta, to have access to Bullseye and use this very effectively, right? We're going to use this towards the end of the build, since we will go down the precision tree first. But I think Bullseye is going to be something very, very interesting, right? The fact that you're always obviously attacking, you're increasing your attack every 10 seconds while in battle, and you're launching obviously these normal attacks that's going to remove a stack. So you're basically going to keep going up and down on your attack, which I think is going to be very interesting to see. I'm not going to say it's going to be OP, I'm not going to say it's going to be bad or good, but this is one actual talent page that I'm really interested in actual testing in, right? Because the actual precision tree is probably the definitely tree you're going to be spending the large majority of the time you're going to be in, unless there's going to be a meta where Maggrat as a garrison with the garrison tree would be a thing, right? But we're not going to cover that in today's video. So in the precision tree, what we're going to have is pretty simple. I would go straight down the middle, nice and easy, 5, 5, 5, because what you're going to do is get that normal attack, straight up attack bonus, and again, straight up attack bonus while sacrificing skill damage, which you don't care about because you're Maggrat, you're not dealing any real skill damage. It's all normal attacks, right? So this is kind of the beauty of it. And then on top of this, because we're all normal attack base, we're going down the invincible route, right? So then we get increasing our normal attack through onslaught triggers. Really, really easy to understand. So this is kind of like the bread and butter, and this is where I think some people might change their, final one. I'm going to try out Mark of War mainly when it comes into this, but these are the must-haves. You're going to have 10% more normal attack above 50%, because guys, the higher you're up, as long as you're above that 50%, you got to think you're healing more, right? You're healing more per normal attack damage because you're getting more damage per hit. So this is really important. It's going to help Maggrat survive out there. Same with Intrepid, right? Intrepid and Unstoppable. This is just going to give you the normal attack chance in your talent page without Zeta or maybe without Freyga in your pairings, and it's just going to allow you to have that critical damage and critical hit chance to again potentially give you that little bit extra healing and damage output. And when it comes to the final one, I can argue for both. I can see why people will just want extra effect, but the thing is, you got to remember with Maggrat is that variable healing can only be triggered once, right? It can only be triggered once. The one thing that I want to test out is if this Mighty Slash will technically, in fact, speed up the 450%, right? That's one thing I'm going to have to test myself, which I will test when I get that ability to, right? So on the safe side, and I think because you're going to be fighting a long time when you're using this Mark of War, right? This is, I think, actually going to be a really powerful talent for once, again, on an archer unit. So let's zoom out now, and you can make sense why I've gone down the marksman tree. And the thing with the marksman tree, what I've done is pretty simple. I've gone for the attack, and because you get so much march speed here compared to only the 2% increase over here, I've gone 5 into marksman speed, 5 into just straight up taking 1.5 less % damage. And like I said earlier, we're going to try out Bullseye on this whole build, and hopefully it's going to perform really, really nicely for our hero. And with our last point, as you can imagine, you can place it where kind of ever you want, but I did just put it in the overall march speed. I just want more march speed. I want to be able to move in and out of combat, and it's really nice to have that, right? So the second talent page I'm going to go over is more of a full precision build. And this is one which I think more players are going to probably play around with. And they might do some weird stuff even where we've seen in my Syndrion video where they've gone 5, 5, 5 over here just to get all of these stats because they really like these stats over here. But the second tree that we're going to go over is this one, and this one is a very pretty simple and self-explanatory one too. I kind of messed up on here, so we can just reset and I'll just go through it with you. So simply Holy Trinity, as you guys know, on this little bottom side. But when it comes to your precision tree, when you're leveling up, all you're going to be doing is going straight up the middle like always, because this is kind of all you want, right? Always straight up damage and the same, right? So then, like before, we're going to do the cold pressure into the intrepid, into the unstoppable. And then again, depending on your choice, you might want to go down Mark of War or Mighty Slash. And in this instance, and just for argument's sake, I am going to put Mighty Slash out there because we don't know which one's going to be better as of yet. So why not just make an argument for both? But now we've got 17 points, and the 17 points that I would do in the first actual 5 points that I would place into is straight away the Irrepressible, because we don't really care about rage. I'm not going to lie, in Maggrat, when you're playing, especially with Zeta, and depending on what other marks you're going to be rocking, you really don't really care about rage. You just want to hit as hard as you can and as as powerful as you can. And ignoring enemies' defense is really great in doing that, right? And then with this, what I did with my build is pretty simple. Suppression, just to give us that increased chance to inflict fragility, which is going to allow us to do even more normal attack damage now to that target. And then this is where people can change their minds. And I'm honest with you, you can do your last 7 points here wherever you want, but you could place basically at 5 here, 2 points here for some march speed. Or if you want to go really tanky and try and go all in with this healing, I am actually going to go for dedication. Dedication with the overall speed here. And that kind of finishes out that build, right? I'm not going to say this is the best thing, but this is what I am going to personally run myself and see if this dedication is actually really nice with the variable healing to keep my march out there, right? So that's basically the build, right, that I'm going to suggest at the early phase of the Maggrat era with Zeta. And hopefully, once we've gone through some wars, soon, go through some rune statue fights and stuff, and we've got some PvP going, we can actually get a really good grasp on what we kind of want with our talent pages. And you'll see at the end of the season, obviously, an update on Maggrat and Zeta. When I make Zeta's obviously first kind of guide like this, you'll see we might have to change those talent pages, right? We would have learned a lot more since the beginning of their release. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This is kind of like a first whole impression guide if you're looking at this hero, and I hope I've done her justice, because honestly, I think she is a fantastic hero. And even for myself being an archer main, I can't wait to get her to 5-5-5-1, right? She's going to be a great asset for it. So, if you enjoyed the video, smash a like, comment, and subscribe, guys. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.